Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our May monthly meeting. Format for this month is a little different. We're going to go into executive session first. So we'll hit announcements and opportunity to modify the agenda, and then we will make a motion to enter executive session. On announcements, all that I have is yard waste is next week, step out Wednesday, or pick up on Thursday, 5/21. And also Village Hall on alternating Mondays is going to be opening to the public at 10:30. That's the one day that all the staff are in the office, part-time and full-time. And it's the only time we can all sit down for a check-in. So we're going to use 9:30 to 10:30 on those days for a staff check-in and open to the public at 10:30, and we'll post it, etc. Anybody else have announcements? Okay, opportunity to request to add or modify the agenda. All that I have is it came in at 4:40. C Street added additional dates, so we'll have that. They had asked an additional question about, not C Street, Clearwater asked for an additional date, but we've already got an item for that. So with that, I will make a motion to enter executive session to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person. A, and B, to discuss proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property where disclosure would substantially affect value. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll stop recording and good evening. We are back from executive session. It is 7:53 at 7:45. I made a motion to exit executive session. Eliza Starbuck seconded. We all voted in favor to leave. We took a pit stop break, and here we are back again. So I would like to make a motion to add to the agenda the hiring of 2 police officers under board business. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Done this. Is Michelle with us? Yes. So Michelle, just talk us through your quarterly report.
Good evening. ARPA reporting is annual for the village, and it was due on April 30th. It was submitted a few days before that. We meet all the deadlines for obligation, and the work just needs to be completed by December of 2026. But the contract has already been signed, so we're all good on the ARPA reporting side for now. The second thing was financial statements through April 30th were attached. I did receive some questions from board members. I emailed them out. Does the board want to go over anything in particular, or should I go through all of the questions?
God bless. Given that it's 7:50, let's not go through all of them. Are there any particular questions that the board needed to follow up with Michelle directly on?
No, the responses were helpful.
Yeah, responses were really
Yeah,
helpful.
thanks for reading them all out.
And they can get put in with the minutes. If you'd like. Thank you very much for taking the time, Michelle. Any other discussion on quarterly report? Well, we have Michelle. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Roadways and facilities. We do not have a report. There was some.
We do. Oh.
No, that's water and wastewater. That's okay. Bugsy has been out, so we don't have a report, but I can give you a couple quick updates. The striping, we are waiting for dry weather to stripe the new streets. I am happy to say that we came through all of that rain last week with no flooding at Cedar Street. The pump was set up and ready to go. We didn't have to turn it on. Maybe that's the trick. And then last, we've had a lot of inquiries at Village Hall about a leak at a particular location. Walking up Craigside to the school, there's a telephone pole at the end of Fishkill Avenue. And there is water flowing out of an old conduit along the side of the pole. It is no longer in service. It's where a wire used to run up the outside. It has been tested. It is not village water. It's not treated water. It's groundwater. And since the July 2023 storms, we've seen a number of shifts in groundwater paths. This appears to be an underwater stream at Haldane. It appears to have shifted. We are not yet sure what to do with it, but we know that we don't want to block that conduit and send the water elsewhere until we know what we're dealing with. So thank you to everyone who's called it in. Please know it is not a treated water leak. And we're trying to figure out what to do next, working with Haldane and Central Hudson. Water and wastewater. We have in front of us, just for confirmation, that the sewer line at 47 Main Street with the connection for the accessory dwelling unit, the assessment is that the line is able to take that additional unit and it will proceed to permitting. Police report. Our numbers of calls are up. A lot of mutual aid calls. All of these reports are on the village website rather than going into in person. They're there if you want to review them at your leisure. Fire company. Just wanted to note that the chief is having a meeting, or some officers are having a meeting with Drew Polinsky of the Fjord Trail to talk through some of the first responder issues that were raised in the DGEIS, and I'm very glad to see that that's proceeding. Also, folks in the public, if you take note of the last page of the report, like this is a great graphic. There's an image of two firefighters in their gear, their turnout gear, and the cost of all of the items in the turnout gear. So here's two folks outfitted for $29,310, which including imaging cameras, etc. It's just, it gives you a sense of what it takes to suit someone up safely, and why the annual fundraiser for the fire company is so helpful. Justice Court. 17 charges among 13 defendants, total income $35,725. Moving on to the reports for standing boards. I did follow up with the HDRB regarding do you remember last month they reported that they were wanting to look at how their fee structure works. Currently, there is an application fee for $30. And if you go to public hearing, it's an additional $80. When that amount was set for the HDRB, that was enough to cover advertising and the signs required for public hearings. It is no longer enough.
Back in 1980?
Actually, it wasn't. It was within the last 10 years. What they were suggesting, but was not clear from the report, and now that I've talked it through with the chair, I think makes a lot of sense, is they're recommending going to an escrow. This is only for public hearings. The regular application stays the same. Your workaday, window replacement, fence, etc. But if a public hearing is required, in the same way that the zoning board and the planning board collect an escrow, they would collect an escrow, pay for advertising, etc., out of that escrow, and then refund. This conversation was had this afternoon, so that change to the fee schedule I'm going to put off, but I would recommend that we go with the structure that the zoning board has, because HDRB doesn't tend to have the large scale projects that planning does, so they probably don't need to collect as much. And the zoning board is set on the fee schedule with a range of $500 to $1,500, so they can collect in a range. And I would just recommend that when we do make that change, we make it consistent across the boards. Does that make sense? And then I had a question for you, Greg. This is the board finalized a database template for all properties within the historic district. Ongoing discussion of where and how the database will be housed and maintained. Are you part of that conversation?
That is the Laserfish conversation we were talking about.
Oh, the Laserfish
And
conversation. Okay.
maintaining them within our current Laserfish.
Oh, this sounds like a database that they're.
Yeah, Laserfish is a database,
Okay.
so they're gonna maintain historical HDRB applications and records within that Laserfish
Okay.
platform.
Thank you.
It's not the old kind of slide fish things, right?
No. So Laserfish is a technology platform, not the actual.
It's the name of a company. It's not.
It's the name of
Okay.
the company.
Thank you for clarifying
For
that.
pulling those, you remember the sound of pulling those rolls when you were in the stacks at Olin, Aaron, and the sound of, yeah, those were the days. 5B planning board, I did not see a planning board report. Zoning board, the head was not in session, so they have no report. Tree advisory board, there is a public hearing related to the proposed removal of a healthy tree on Grove Court. That's coming up on the 27th. Laura and I have been working with Bugsy, looking at the intersections from the NIMTIC report. The intersection at the bottom, not the intersection, yes, the intersection of Lund Terrace and Main, where the crosswalk makes the most sense, it would dead end into what is currently a tree. And so I would like to go to their next meeting and have a conversation with them about that tree and how we might, there is an open tree bed right next door, how we might trade so that we can gain the crosswalk there and a proper ADA access. Does that make sense? Your understanding?
Yeah.
Rec commission, I told Jeff sent us a very detailed update on where they are with community planning, so I told him he didn't need to come tonight. Any discussion of what he sent us on community day? Looks like they got bands lined up, it's gonna be fun.
They're still looking for volunteers.
Still looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
Volunteers. Contact click. Okay, moving on to 6. We have one report from municipal partners, and that's Phillipstown. Rather than going through the whole thing, just to say that there was a pause in the hiring of the new code enforcement officer. They've now got the clearing to go ahead from the Putnam County Civil Service. So hopefully this person's going to be on board soon. I feel like we've been saying that for a lot of months, so hopefully this is the month that it really happens. And they are looking for, the town is looking for a member on the conservation board and on the planning board. 7, reports of boards. I have a few small things, but I'm tired of talking. What's anybody else got?
I've been working on parking. We're working on getting pricing for new meter kiosks. The board had budgeted for 2. We're trying to find one that will communicate with Park Mobile so that when someone buys time on Park Mobile, it's tracked and you can limit the time to the 4 hours between the kiosk and Park Mobile, at least the new ones. Lowbird has recently been acquired by Park Mobile, so they're together, and Lowbird is a kiosk server. But they don't have it totally, the technology hasn't been married yet. They're working on it. And so I'm kind of asking those questions like, if we buy a kiosk from you now, will it have the hardware to do this in the future? Or will we, if it's not ready yet, like, what does that mean to us? Does it mean that we just have new kiosks from a new company that don't do what we're looking for? So with that in mind, I'm also reaching out to the ITS company that our current kiosks are from to get updated pricing on those, because if we don't get better technology that's speaking to each other, then it's better, I think, to just stick with the one that we have and keep it consistent and make it simpler for Michelle. And Michelle and I are also working on getting rate comparisons to make sure that we're not upgrading and getting a much higher price.
That's great, having that interaction so that the people who see the backside are engaged in the conversation. Thank you.
Right, and I reached out to T2, which is our enforcement system, and asked them just to make sure that all of these could go into their system at the same time. So if we do get a second kiosk provider, that will work with T2 as well as the ones we already have. And they confirmed that that is the case.
Right.
So,
Good.
so we're just, gathering information, and once we have it, we'll bring folks to the board to discuss and make a decision.
And Eliza, thanks. I know you sent me some stuff about the kiosks to look at. I haven't had a chance yet, but it might be really worthwhile to have just a Zoom call with the company and maybe the two of us. I'm happy to sometimes it's easiest just to ask questions directly to them and get their answer. And
Let's have Greg or Michelle on the call so they can benefit from the
Great.
conversation.
Michelle's been looped in on everything. She kind of is the parking person. She understands all of it. So she's
She's definitely on that
looped in.
call.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea, Erin. Thanks.
Anything else?
That's all I got for now.
Thank you.
Things are quiet on my end, but working with the clerk on sending out a bid for our next EV truck for the water department. Hopefully that'll get out, and then in like a month or so, we'll have a price.
C Street has sent some dates.
Mm.
No, C Street actually sent, yeah,
Okay.
Clearwater's coming later, but C Street has finally sent dates. They have abandoned their summer quest again and are looking at fall. They want to do one trip in September and then a series of dates. I think that I started to forward that email and got distracted by something and didn't do it. So I need to send you the dates, and I'd like to copy you on it, Lillian, too, to make sure to help us figure out what overlap happens with other events like we did last year. I'll do that tomorrow. Royal, the person we're negotiating with at Royal has had a death in the family, so he's a little behind. I have been trying to piece together the changes we need to make to it's currently called the litter chapter. Hoping to either by the end of this week or early next week have a draft to you all to look at. I know what we need to do to set up the code, to properly set up the code for the way we are now currently doing trash. But there's a lot in that chapter that is super repetitive. The chapter is called litter, and there's a ton that just doesn't need to be there. And I think we can consolidate a lot of it down. So I'm working on that one. They will extend month by month. Remember, we asked to extend until June. They will extend the current rates month by month till we get this done. I would really like to get it done in the next couple weeks. We did receive confirmation of our enabling legislation request for the extension of occupancy tax law. Greg started filling it out today. We need to review it and send it back by the 20th. Tax sharing update, saga carries on. The legislature could not override the county executive's veto of the drop to 3.75%. The towns and villages work directly with our two senators, Rollison and all who represent Putnam County, Rollison and Parkham, and in the assembly, Slater and Levenberg, drafted with them a different home rule request that passed the assembly that would enshrine both the extension of the tax application and, importantly, a mechanism for sharing. Now what happens is the legislature, even though it comes from the assembly, the legislature has to pass a resolution to accept the home rule request. So they've called a special meeting for Monday night in room 318 at Glenida Avenue. I don't know if any of us know exactly what's going to happen, but I don't know how it would be really uncomfortable for them to go up against all the United Town Villages and our two senators and our two assembly members. I cannot go Monday night because there's a school event. Is there anybody else who can go on Monday night? So there's a Cold Spring presence.
Check the schedule with this too.
I mean, I know it is no fun, but just so we have somebody here. Okay. And last, Aaron, I know Aaron and I in the next few weeks are gonna have a lot going on with graduation coming. There's a few Wednesdays when I can't be here and Tweeps is gonna need to run the meeting, but, it also reminds us that we're coming to summer. And everybody's gonna have time away. So I would like to ask everybody to send their availability through Labor Day as best you know it, so that we can figure out when we have quorum and when we don't. Next Wednesday, we need to have a session because there will be bills. If it's in the Wednesday evening, it will need to be Tweeps. And then the next week, you and I are at NICOM on the 28th. I would suggest that if we pay the bills on the 21st, unless there's something pressing and unforeseen, that we not have a meeting on the 28th. Okay,
I won't be able to be there next on the 21st either, right?
Yeah. I'm
For the
away
same
that-
reason.
but you're away the 21st?
Yeah.
no.
Well, I'm not away. It's another end of year event for the school.
Oh, yes, right. So it'll be, then we need to make sure, do Eliza and Laura, are you available on the 21st? Because it will have to be in person with Tweeps. Okay, so you three can proceed without me and Aaron and pay bills and do
Oh,
whatever other business has to happen.
Sorry, the 21st, I am not available.
Oh, you're gonna be at the school event too.
Mm,
Okay, let's come back to this. We're gonna need to have, at minimum, a business day meeting during the day to pay bills next week, but we may not be able to pull in-person forum for an evening meeting.
Yeah, I can come in for a short time, for example. So,
Is there a day that's,
well, I mean, I would say do it on Wednesday earlier.
on Wednesday earlier in the day?
Yeah.
All right, so the clerk will follow up on that and we'll know that we're not having a meeting on the 28th and we'll figure out the 4th from there. I can't be here on the 4th either. So send us what you know for your summer and we'll see when we can strategically plan. It could be good to minimize what we can in the summertime. Okay, that's it for me. Now we have our business. First is the, sadly, accepting the resignation of the Honorable Camille Linson as our Associate Justice. She is moving to Wales with her husband, who's going to have a fabulous life. So I would make a motion to accept Camille's resignation and wish her well.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
In terms of what happens next, the town, as far as I am aware, intends to have on their monthly agenda for June, the appointing of Luke Hilbert to finish her term. They were not able to get it on the agenda for their May meeting. I have had correspondence with Luke, and he is willing to do the associate justice position as well. Whether or not the town appoints him, it is the mayor's appointment, but our attorney is just making sure that we paper it correctly. So more on that. Next is resolution 2025 establishing the rate increase for wastewater. Someone like to make the motion, make the resolution?
I'll make a motion for resolution 2025 establishing rate increase for usage of the wastewater system. The following resolution was offered by myself, trustee Starbuck, for adoption and seconded by
Me.
trustee Bogie, to wit, whereas an increase to the wastewater sewer usage and flat rate is recommended to cover the system operating and maintenance costs, and whereas users of the system are currently charged at a rate of $2.10 per 1,000 gallons used. At a meeting on April 9th, 2025, the Board of Trustees proposed an increase of 13 cents in the usage rate to $2.23 per 1,000 gallons used. And whereas users of the system are currently charged a flat rate of $88.30 per quarter to use the wastewater system, at a meeting on April 9th, 2025, Board of Trustees proposed an increase of $5.30 in the flat rate to $93.60. Now therefore be it resolved that the wastewater sewer usage rate is hereby set at $2.23 per 1,000 gallons used, and the flat rate per quarter at $93.60 effective July 1st, 2025. Roll call, please.
Trustee Starbuck,
Aye.
trustee Bozzi,
Aye.
Mayor Foley,
Aye.
via Zoom, trustee Primark.
Aye.
Believe the ayes have it.
Thank you. Next is water.
I can read it since I made it long.
No, it's good. It's good. It's very clear now. Thank you. Go ahead.
Resolution 21, 2025, establishing a rate increase for usage of the water system. The following resolution was offered by adoption and seconded by
Trustee Starbuck.
trustee Starbuck, to wit, whereas an increase in the water flat and usage rates is recommended to cover the system operating and maintenance costs, and whereas Village Code Section 130-16, paragraph 3, subparagraph A, calls for flat rates of all units outside the village of Cold Spring to be set at 1.5 times the rates charged within the village. And whereas the users of the water system are currently charged the following flat rates in the village: $66.25 per assessed unit per quarter, out of village $99.37 per assessed unit per quarter. And whereas at a public hearing on April 9th, 2025, the Board of Trustees proposed an increase in the flat rental rates as follows: in village, additional $33.12 per assessed unit per quarter; out of village, an additional $49.69 per assessed unit per quarter. And whereas all users of the system are currently charged a usage rate of $3.30 per 1,000 gallons used. At a public hearing on April 9th, 2025, the Board of Trustees proposed a usage rate increase for all users of 17 cents per 1,000 gallons used. Now, therefore be it resolved that the water flat rate is established as follows, effective July 1st, 2025. In village, $99.37 per assessed unit per quarter; out of village, $149.06 per assessed unit per quarter. And now therefore be it further resolved that the usage rate for all users is established at $3.47 per 1,000 gallons used.
Roll call. Oh, okay. Now roll call.
Trustee Starbuck,
Oh,
seconded by
beginning,
trustee
sorry.
Starbuck.
Long night.
Trustee Bozzi, Mayor Foley,
Aye, again.
and via Zoom, trustee Primark.
Aye.
Believe the ayes have it.
Thank you. Okay, and our next agenda item takes what we have just passed and codifies it, memorializes it in the fee schedule that was prepared, highlighted sections, and a red line updating the water and sewer rate. It was also brought to our attention that I think Eliza probably brought it up a while ago and we didn't deal with it at the time, that the cost for plaque dedication and bench dedication has not been in the fee schedule for people to reference, so that it's not arbitrary. I'd like to add it to the fee schedule. These are fees that have been established. I had Kelly do some research on similar municipalities and what they charge. It's kind of all over the place. We can have a discussion about modifying that rate if you'd like, or we can get it in the plaque, get it in the fee schedule tonight and hold that conversation another time, if you would like to make any changes. Feedback?
Okay to me.
Anyone else? We're good with adding it? Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the insertion of custom bench dedication, custom plaque dedication to the fee schedule, and to update the water and sewer rates as adopted by the village board.
Is there, I just want to make sure, I just noticed what might be an error
Sorry, what?
in this. Under sewer, the first two yellow lines show the same rate, but don't we charge different amounts? Didn't we just,
No, because there is no out of village.
oh, there's no out of village sewer. So
Would
it's
that be
the
there at
same
all?
water. Sorry, my mistake.
There are, Eliza, to answer your question, there are a very small number, like a street and a half in Nelsonville that are connected to our sewer, but that's it. So there
Like the
are a
same
few.
rate.
Okay,
You're right.
my apologies.
No, that's a good question. So I have made a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I left something out. So I'll handle it as a separate motion, probably the easiest thing to do. Thank you, Greg. I have to find it. Okay, on page 4, under quarterly technology fee, so there is now, I'll do my best to explain this if you need to sort it out, can. There is now a quarterly fee associated with the connectivity between the meters and our system that reads them. That adds up to $2.73 per quarter. So it's a 6 cents per read, I think. So it is a fee we have not had before. So we are adding it to discussion, questions.
Technology fee was on the bill
Right, but it's
previously.
going up.
It's going up
Pardon me.
because the cost.
Thank you.
So
So no discussion, I'll make a motion to modify this
We
section.
already accepted, no?
What?
We already accepted it as printed, no? Or,
Made a motion, my motion was specific to the water rates and
Okay.
so had I said it that way, we'd be in good shape, but I didn't. So make a new motion to modify the quarterly technology fee and schedule. All in favor? Aye. Approval of Clearwater dock. So Clearwater's docking for July fell through. They're asking for additional dates in July. I asked them if they anticipate having the same problem in August. They're lined up for August. They're looking to extend dates here in Cold Spring, July 19th, 20th, and July 25th to 27th. This afternoon, I checked with the clerk. There aren't other conflicting times. There aren't other conflicting events for that. They have asked also for this Sunday. Something went wrong with their docking in Poughkeepsie. And they're not taking public on and off. They're just needing a place to tie up and sleep on Sunday night. And there's nothing that conflicts with that discussion.
Happy to have them here and
Public loved it.
support their project, and I think it's a great thing, so I have no problem with these requests.
And it's also really beautiful to see the Clearwater there.
So
Yeah,
cool.
it's really like
So
make a
cool.
motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the additional dates and amendments to their Clearwater calendar for the month of July.
And they are trying, second,
second,
We include the May.
and the May.
Oh, and the May adjustment.
For being the only one at the table who's awake at this point. So
Second.
May 18th, July 19th and 20th, July 25th to 27th. Is there a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are trying to get the community sale rescheduled for one of those July spots. So more on that as we know it.
And we have a addition.
Yes. We're almost there. Approval of minutes, the one modification that was requested has been made. Any other comments or requests for the minutes of April 10th? Make a motion. Aaron cannot vote on this one.
I did watch the video.
Yeah, but you weren't here. Sorry.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes with the adjustments as per requested for, April 10th, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and now to our additional item, which we added at the beginning. Can I do these in, clerk, can I do this as a single motion? The two individuals?
I think you have to do them separately.
Wow.
To establish seniority based on.
We had, you're good. We interviewed both of these gentlemen, and we are, I am pleased to make a motion to, hire Officer Barrett Magistro, as an officer of the Cold Spring Police Department, pending, final background screening. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to hire Jamel Jones as a Cold Spring police officer, pending final background screening. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think these two are gonna be a really fantastic fit for the village. Excited to have them on board. We have reached the end.
Good.
Do you want to entertain public comment? Anyone?
On agenda items.
On agenda items? Is anyone wishing to make comment on an agenda item? Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, guys. That was a long one.